you very much for the invitation, and can you hear me, everyone? So thanks a lot, and I would like to start first of all like in congratulating for this 10 years, so happy birthday for this anniversary. And Kalimera Agapiti Sinedelphi, that's it. I don't know anything more, and so don't worry about the translators. It would not be like a difficult like speech, because I would try to speak in English and not to say anything more in Greek, even if I studied ancient Greek in the school, but I don't know like anybody anymore. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate like this invitation. So at the beginning, I would like to start with like a simple consideration. Like if you read this like flyer, there is this word like prevent, and we will see like during this like little speech how important is the prevention, particularly also according to the update of the Italian legislation that was promulgated like some months ago. Like recently in May 2024, we had the update of the Italian legislation regarding the bullyism and the cyberbullyism. So as Piggy said, I'm here on behalf of my foundation, that is Telefono Azzurro, and that as you can see, Telefono Azzurro was established in 1987 by a psychiatric Professor Caffo with the other colleagues from Bologna universities and the other universities in Italy. And Telefono Azzurro was the first organization in Italy to create like a hotline that was dedicated just to listen and to help children that they were experiencing distress. And it is very important because, as we know, 2 years after, so in 1989, as everyone knows, was promulgated a Convention on the Rights of the Child by the United Nations. And in that convention, among like other principles that they are very important, there is the principle that every child deserves and has the right that we have to listen every child. And this is like the main point. Like when Telefono Azzurro was established, this was the main purpose. To help, to listen was an hotline. The privacy, the confidentiality, they were very, very important since the first operations and since the beginning of Telefono Azzurro. After that, was not only like the fact that you were able to call an hotline that they were like helping you, but also they provided to children a lot of advice. They provided like help, like practical help, but also psychological and juridical help, because a lot of cases they were like cases of distress, of trauma, and also of exploitation, both sexual exploitation and psychological exploitation. And so the well-being and the welfare of every single child was the base when Telefono Azzurro was established almost 40 years ago. And during the time Telefono Azzurro, as you can see in this slide, like basically a summary is like support for children, adolescents and families, Then also Telefono Azzurro started since a long time to prepare and to provide school programs, because as I said at the beginning, the prevention is the most important part of any kind of social and political action. But if you do not have prevention within and inside the school, there is no reasons to go ahead, because the first space where the prevention started, and particularly the prevention also related to bullyism, is the school, in some way more than a family, and I will try to explain the reason. Then, of course, like the SAFER Internet Center, the Digital Citizenship and Children in Prison project are part of the commitment and of the operations of Telefono Azzurro. And then the study center where like I am based as head of the Children's Rights Study Center. Because as I said, Telefono Azzurro when started, we can say in some way that born inside the universities, because like a lot of knowledges like psychological, juridical, psychiatric, sociological, pedagogical knowledge, they gather together to provide assistance, help and studies also related to children's rights and child development. As Piggy said at the beginning in the explanation, we are part, not only Telefono Azzurro, but of an international network. Why? Because if we do not fight and if we do not put all the energy together in, I would say, and I would dream in the future more than a European network, something like more international. Because to protect and to prevent like bullyism, cyberbullyism, and any kind of exploitation, we do not have to think only looking inside our border. There is no reason. And also because even the legislation, I'm thinking about the international legislations, think about the Lanzarote Convention that is preventing a lot about exploitation, sexual exploitation, particularly online, is clearly states since the beginning that cooperation, collaboration, transparencies between states all around the world are fundamental to prevent and to fight against this exploitation. So, so as you can see, like the network, we have in Hope, Ian, Missing Children, and so on, as a part of the ICMEC, the NECMEC, the Eurochild, and since like a long time ago. So now I would like to share with you just some key points, because unfortunately we do not have time to speak like a lot, regarding the new Italian legislation and some best practice to prevent and to fight, to combat against bullyism. So, in Italy, the first legislation regarding bullyism was promulgated in 2017, and then was updated, as you can see in the slide, very recently, like the Law 70 that was promulgated last May, so like 5 months ago, basically. So we have a definition of bullyism and a kind of cyberbullyism, and there is one thing that is very important. As you can see, since the beginning of this law, there is one expression that for us is very important and help us to better understand how we can help with best practices. Because in the legislation, it's underlined how the repetition, like several aggressive behavior, not just one, that I'm not like, I don't want to justify like not even one, but the point is that the distress that the child lives because is under several pressures, like several behaviors that they are negative for his or her development. And also there is an explanation nowadays very clear about physical, verbal, and social exclusion that before was almost absent. We had some reference, but it was not very clear like now. There is also a clear reference about cyberbullying. That's why, like, the name of the legislation is Bullyism and Cyberbullying. And then also it states in the legislation that the school has the primary role to prevent through the education. So this is the second point that I would like to underline with you. Because according to the Italian legislation, also, like, every school, they have to provide every school like a safer place with the establishment of a committee of experts. Now, we know that like in every government, like then they have to calculate, and they have to see like about the budget and the money. But it is important that in the law it's written clearly that everything starts from the school education and the training, and the fact that in any kind of school, no matter if it's primary, middle or high school or secondary, is totally unacceptable, not even a small attitude to exclude someone, because this can be potentially also the real problem and become and take the form of bullyism, or in the media, or according to the digital form, cyberbullyism. Then there is another point that is very important in the Italian legislation, and this is very similar for what we can find in the Lanzarote Convention, particularly in the preamble, but here they speak about collaboration and cooperation between schools, local authorities, and any kind of associations or organizations that they are dealing or they are working daily with the children. What does it mean? It means that the education and the training is not only to train the new generation, but also the training is for the employees or the people that they are working daily with children. I have to know what can harm, because you know, like my background, I'm a lawyer, so it's not like very easy for me always to understand like the psychological dimension and what I have to take care, particularly like with the, of course, like my connection is more with students in the university, is not like with children, but the fact that the training is something that is present in the new legislation for teachers, for everyone that is working daily with the children, and people that they have responsibilities in sports associations, religious associations, confessional associations, and so on. And also another thing that is important is like the commitment of the civil society in helping the prevention of bullyism and cyberbullyism. Because as my friend Irene said at the beginning, the number is shocking. I mean, Telefono Azzurro is dealing in Italy also with the more national like response, national, but we have also like requests from people that they are not children, that they are not Italian. So the number of requests is increasing locally, like in Italy, but also the European. I was listening very, very carefully about the recent data released by UNESCO, so that 1 in 4 are potentially victims of some kind or some forms of bullyism, and in some situations, in some countries, even higher. What we can say as a Telefono Azzurro is that particularly during the COVID, the period of the pandemic, and also after that, the number is constantly increasing, and also not only the number, but the request from from children or young boys and young girls to be listened and say, I have this problem, what is this? Because some of them, they ask help in the sense that they cannot understand by themselves what was happening or what is happening, but they know that there is something wrong. And usually the first place, the first place of the first person can be like the mother of the father or the father, but a lot of time is the teacher. The relation when there is something wrong, also because unfortunately a lot of cases of bullyism happen inside the school. So the person is the teacher, or is someone that is inside the institution. So. And then also the Ministry of Education, according to the legislation, has to establish, like they call, a table of experts from different background for the implementation of the law and the implementation of the legislation. So why? The reason is that as a very famous philosopher, thinker, and jurist from the 19th century, Oliver Holmes, said, the theory is the most important part of the dogma of the law. And this is true. Theory is the most important part in every kind of norm, in every kind of legislation. But then there is the implementation, and you have to put in practice. So that's why, like now, at this stage, it's very important to put into practice like what is provided by the law. And again, cooperation, collaboration, transparencies, and prevention. That's why, like, I started this like a little conversation with the idea of prevention, and also like our two very young speakers at the beginning. I was really positively impressed about the power and about how they said that it's important to do something today, not tomorrow. So I think that also, like, this network is very important. Once again, like, thank you very, very much for the invitation. And I do not want that this is only a celebration, but we have to celebrate looking ahead, looking into the future. Thank you very much.